What shame's got to do with it? Shame? I thought we were talking about menopause. Stick with me till the end and I'll tell you. But first, let's talk about the rule of accumulation and your body. The rule of accumulation simply says a small thing accumulated over time can become a big thing. Accumulation is a double-edged sword. It can reap great benefit and it can do great harm. When we apply the rule of accumulation to health and well-being and add shame to symptoms that are being accumulated, we ignore feelings, we ignore the symptoms, and we sweep them under the rug. Ignoring communication from the body will only bring on more disharmony, more pain, and more suffering than necessary. We as a society believe that disharmony is normal during a woman's cycle. Yet that disharmony only strengthens the dysfunction leading to disease. As you know, allowing anything to be ignored, either an unpaid bill or the rattle in your car, only makes things worse in the long run. Why are you doing it to your body? The same is true for your body. Ignoring any communication of the body will only make the body give you stronger signals until the body's needs cannot be ignored. Meanwhile, the mind joins in with anxiety and fear, so we delay and procrastinate, allowing the discomfort to grow. The body has only a certain number of ways to communicate disease or stress. This is an important thing to understand, so let me repeat that. The body has only a certain number of ways to communicate disease or stress. It never sends you email reminders or texts. It won't interrupt your feed on Facebook or Instagram. The way it communicates is by making you tired, forgetful, or maybe have blotchy red skin. It may alert you with a short burst of pain or bloating. These communications are usually overpowered by the mind. We say, I'll just have some coffee. I'll just put on some makeup. You may even say the pain is gone now, but it mustn't mean anything. Maybe I'll loosen my belt to feel better. Unfortunately, if we don't respond to the communication appropriately, the body starts shouting by bringing on that headache, the cold, it gets gassy, and it creates itchy skin. These symptoms and signs still seem to be minor issues to our brain. No need to do much about it. Just take an aspirin or power through it. If the body continues to be ignored, it starts staging a revolt. The migraine that just won't quit. Cue the hives or acne. Constipation and heartburn, anyone? I think you get the picture. The sooner you get your mind to listen to your body, find the cause, and take appropriate actions, the less likely the body will escalate the condition. Our society has normalized women's painful, disruptive hormonal issues to such a degree that the woman who does not have PMS or does not have menopausal symptoms is considered abnormal. The cause of suffering is ignoring the body's wisdom. The cause of suffering is going against the body's wisdom. The cause of suffering isn't in hormonal fluctuations. The suffering comes from the inability of the body to handle the fluctuations because we haven't cared for it in a manner it has asked us to. We are not listening. Ayurveda's unique and holistic perspective tells us that hormones are a type of fire, or what we call Agni, which assists in the transformation of tissue based on function. Let me put it in another way. Hormones communicate necessary directives from one tissue to another in order to grow or shift to external and internal conditions. Claudia Welch, the author of Balance Your Hormones, Balance Your Life, says hormones do not go out of balance in a vacuum. Hormones go out of balance when your lifestyle, diet, exercise, use of your five senses, and the mind are out of harmony. We can either deal with the symptoms or we can look for and eliminate the cause. Most medical interventions look to treat the symptoms and not the cause. This is true for some holistic interventions as well. Treating the cause of hormonal imbalances or the inability of these chemicals to communicate with and transform the body tissues is where Ayurveda shines. Hormonal changes start at a young age. By the time a girl gets to high school, she's had a significant activation of new hormones and body transformations. She goes through 20 to 40 years of menses and perhaps a few pregnancies. Each of these biological functions require the production and release of various hormones. If a young woman has difficult menses, the hardship itself is the body trying to communicate. This is the time to discover the cause and examine lifestyle, food, exercise, or lack of exercise. Root out that which is incompatible with the young woman's physical being. As she matures and reaches midlife, not following the body's wisdom, the body goes into revolt. The body has offered so many signals throughout her life, and now she's forced to stop and listen. So the takeaway is that the sooner you address signs and symptoms of hormonal stress and disorder, the easier your menopausal shift will be. And how do you do that? You do it by taking a good look at your habits. Your ovaries and hormones do not exist in a vacuum. Have you been manipulating your hormones? Have you been overdoing or underdoing exercises? Do you eat or drink substances that affect your liver or your kidneys? Have you forced yourself to power through your life, which taxes your adrenal glands? Or did you take time for self-care? Your answers to these questions affect your menopausal transition. Change any one or all of these habits, and menopause does not have to be as painful as many women describe it to be. Women aren't meant to suffer their entire lives with hormonal changes. Yes, the hormones are needed to transform body tissues in the various stages of a woman's life, but it doesn't mean that she has to suffer. You don't have to suffer for years on end. And this is where shame comes in. Brene Brown writes in her book, Daring Greatly, that shame is universal, and it is one of the most primitive emotions we can experience. We're all afraid to talk about shame. The less we talk about shame, the more control it has over our lives. The same is true of menopause. Menopause is a source of shame. We don't talk about it, and the less we talk about it, the less we explore it, the more control it has over our lives. Menopause fits into at least 9 of the 12 shame categories Brene Brown describes for some. It's even more. The categories are 1, appearance and body image, 2, money and work, 3, motherhood, fatherhood, 4, family, 5, parenting, 6, mental and physical illness, 7, addiction, 8, sex, 9, aging, 10, religion, 11, surviving trauma, 12, being stereotyped and labeled. So what happens if we have shame and don't acknowledge menopausal symptoms in the early stages? With shame, we're reluctant to acknowledge or deal with menopause. Slowly, the dread and the suffering grow, along with prominent, sometimes raging symptoms. Is menopause a source of shame for you? Identify how many categories of shame menopause occupies in your life. This is the start of healing. Let me know how your top shame category that menopause or the experience of menopause, or the idea of menopause brings up in you. Put your feelings into those shames around menopause and let me know what you think. Send it to me, email me, DM me. I love hearing from you. See you soon. Bye-bye.